we're going to talk about Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Is he quietly having a breakout season with the Oklahoma City Thunder? I mean, right now, the OKC Thunder are 8-9. They're 10th in the West. He's averaging 22 points per game, 5 rebounds, 6 assists per game, shooting 50% from the field, 38% from three, career high in points, assists, field goal percentage, and three-point percentage. I know you're a big Shai fan.
Yeah, I thought I think he's having a breakout year, but I thought it was going to be more along the 27 points, 7 rebounds. He was going to shoot kind of a pretty low percentage because I didn't expect OKC to be this good and a lot of guys to step up. But even then, you can still see the improvement in his game. I like what he's been doing. I like the pace he's been playing at. I like the fact that he's getting his teammates involved. He's been playing more of the point guard role this year with Chris Paul out, so that's good to see. And you can see he's starting to get better with his jump shot, so that's good. He's also getting a lot stronger in the finishing at the basket, so that's also good. But like I said, I expected it to be like a 26 points per game, but with the team playing so good and he being at the helm of that, you could definitely see a lot of that Chris Paul intangible and that thought process was definitely feeded onto Shai. And I think that's going to be a good sign moving forward. But Shai, sorry. But yeah, I definitely do see this as a breakout. And he's one of my guys. He's not my leader for MIP, but he's one of those guys that's definitely going to be talked about for the award.
He was close to winning MIP last season. I mean, for me, Shai has been phenomenal. And you mentioned it. The team has been playing really well. Something that I really like about Shai and what he does is the ability that he has to change speeds. That's what I think, because when you see him handle the ball, he's a very slow-paced player. And then once OKC calls a high pick and roll for him, he always has that second gear to get to the basket. He makes a move, he hesitates, and he just goes. And I think that second speed, that second gear he has been really good. I mean, I was watching the game against the Suns yesterday, and I think he got a wide-open layup off of a high pick and roll and just not using screen and just hesitating and going to the basket. He had a wide-open layup about 2 or 3 times just off that move alone. I think he's gotten really good at using his eyes to be deceptive, and defenders falling for it. And with George Hill not playing yesterday, he was really good as the point guard. They started Teo Maledon, and Maledon was really good. The Suns weren't even guarding him at the three-point line, and Maledon was making his shots. Al Horford had 21 and 11, I think. Like, they were awesome against the Suns. The Suns didn't have Devin Booker, but it was still a great win in my eyes. And it showed a lot of Shai's point guard skills. He didn't shoot that well that game, but he got the late baskets when they needed him to get him.
Yeah, and you mentioned his play style. It kind of reminds me of, like, as a net fan, a play style I've seen a lot of Karis LeVert, like a herky-jerky, like stop and go, knows how to use his body to get himself open shots. And I think that that's a play style that can last you your entire career. It's not based on this crazy athleticism. Like, he just knows how to slow himself down when he has to, and it creates a lot of great looks for him. And the second thing you mentioned, the playmaking. He's improved a lot as a playmaker. Maybe it's just because we haven't been able to see him in that role yet, but the fact that he's been able to step into that role of playmaker a lot more this year. He's averaging 3.2 more assists per game this year. So seeing that versatility out of him is a very promising sign. It shows that he's not just some one-dimensional guy that can score. You know, he can defend, he can shoot. He's shooting the ball pretty efficiently this year. And although you haven't seen that huge jump in points per game, that jump in assists shows you that versatility that you want to see out of, like, maybe a number one, but like a very good number 2 type guy. So I like what they have in Shai moving forward.
And I think it's funny that this guy has been in 3 different roles in his first 3 seasons in the NBA. You know, he was coming off the bench his first year. He was on a playoff team, the underdog team. His second year last year, another underdog team. He was the primary scorer in that starting lineup. And now this year he's become the leader. And I think that's something that he's been able to manage and get better in each out, year in, year out. And I think that's something that should be definitely praised for. And he reminds me, like, off the pick and roll. You know how I remember when Ginobili used to do a pick and roll and then just burst out and do a little Euro step? He kind of reminds me of that when he just comes off the pick and roll. You don't know how fast he's going to go or what he's going to do. And I think that's a great move he has in his arsenal.
I mean, he's definitely adjusted to each situation that he's been in. Last year, he was asked to be more of a scorer. Now he's handling the ball. He's their primary ball handler, and everybody has been playing better. Luguentz Dort has been amazing. And somebody who doesn't get talked about that comes off the bench is Isaiah Roby. He's been really phenomenal for OKC when he gets minutes. Their entire team is a really good team, and shame on me for thinking they were going to be one of the worst teams, because I knew that the team was full of good veteran players. See, the thing with me is that
you did say they were going to be competitive.
I knew they were going to be competitive, but I didn't know if they were going to finish out games. That was my thing. You know, with Chris Paul there last year when nobody picked them to make the playoffs, even though I thought it was crazy because they had Gallinari, Adams, and Paul, I knew they were going to be able to finish games because of Paul. Now without him, I didn't know if they were going to be able to finish games, but they have been able to, and they closed out the Suns. I mean, yesterday, I think the Thunder were up on the Suns by a lot. The Suns come back, then the Suns are up on the Thunder, and then the Thunder come back, and then they win the game.
Yeah, and you know, people are going to say Devin Booker didn't play, but that same Suns team beat a Denver team without Devin Booker, so that win should nonetheless be a good. He played, but he fouled out, so he didn't play for the last couple minutes. But shout out to them, and you know, you mentioned that lineup last time. Chris Paul, you forgot Dennis Schroeder, who was a part of that lineup in the clutch time last year, that small guard lineup. So I think shout out to Shai, man. He's definitely improved.
Do you think that they will be a lottery team this year? Because I think it might be the best thing for them. Like,
that's tough.
I love that they made the playoffs last year and got Shai and those other young guys, Lou Dort, that playoff experience. But going hand in hand with the fact that we've seen Shai adapt to any situation he's been put in, I think that if they end up in the lottery in a deep draft and you get a guy that turns out to be like a superstar player, you know Shai can play that number 2 role because he's adaptable to any situation at this point in his career.
You think they should drop?
The Nuggets are 2-1 against the Suns this season. The one game the Suns beat them, Booker played 35 minutes.
Oh, wow. I thought he fouled.
Yeah, the Suns just lost 2 straight to Denver, like, in the past week. But, yeah, I mean, I think OKC, they're more likely to be in the play-in game than a lottery team. But then again, a lottery team is the first 14 teams.
Isn't the play-in still a lottery team?
If you lose in the play-in games, you're still in the lottery.
Well, if they don't make the playoffs, they're going to be a lottery team.
That's if they don't win that playing game.
Yeah, I think they'll be a lottery team.
I think that's the best case scenario for them. Just get another talented guy. Maybe you jump up in the lottery a little bit, but still, regardless of how they finish out the year, you're seeing signs from Shai Gilgeous-Alexander that, 1, he's improved in multiple different areas of his game. 2, he's adaptable to different circumstances, which is huge because there's not a lot of guys in the league that can do that and perform in a bunch of different
possibly
situations.
Adapt to a Cade Cunningham or Jalen Suggs coming to OKC.
Exactly. I don't think they'll fall into that position that they could get one of those guys. But say even if you're drafting at like 10 or 12, and this is a deep draft, say a guy falls to you and breaks out, he can play that number 2 role. He doesn't need 23, 24 shots
honestly,
a night.
If I was OKC, if I was an OKC fan,
Cade at the 1 would be crazy.
I would hope to get Jonathan Kuminga. I think he's going to be an elite 2-way player.
Jersey.
Especially defensively, I think he's going to be an elite defensive player.
You've been paying attention, my boy.
I mean, I know.
They start their G League. I think I sent it to you.
They draft or filled out the rosters, whatever.
No, the roster.
They're starting in February.
Yeah, they're starting. The roster is filled out.
Yeah, no, I'm saying they just did that.
Yeah, they
completed the rosters just last week.
They starting up their little 12, 15 game season or whatever.
It's gonna be fun to watch.
Jalen Green has been killing.
There's a bunch of good players in that G League. I don't know what they're calling it.
I don't know. There's a point guard.
Season or
there's a point guard that
Ignite. I think the team's called Ignite.
Yeah, there's a point guard in the team, Deshaun Nix. He's really good.
There's a bunch of good players in this G League format this year that are going to be interesting to watch.